ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
Hi.
and everyone out there. Tonight is a movie watching night for us together, and we're all settled in here, ready to kick back and just enjoy a movie, one that neither of us has seen before. And
Well, it's a classic.
yes, I understand it is a classic. When
It's
was
a
it?
classic.
When
It's
was
a
it from?
well, it's the Blues Brothers.
Okay.
The Blues Brothers, which is a 1980 American
1980.
musical action comedy film.
Okay.
Musical action comedy film, and it's well, I watched it. She didn't.
Oh, you have watched it.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
I was wrong.
And this movie is interesting from many perspectives. I won't say but one thing, and that is that during this movie, you will get to see a number of musicians, because this movie features some big names in music back then.
Oh.
James Brown, Cab Calloway, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, and John Lee Hooker. These are
I guess the names that stand on that list that stand out to be the most as names that I have heard the name are Aretha Franklin and
Right.
Ray Charles. Those are like the
Ray Charles.
biggest in my mind.
James Brown? No?
James Brown doesn't strike me as one that I really know.
Well, of course. Who is Freddie Mercury?
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
let's see, what were the other ones on your list?
Cab Calloway,
I don't know that name.
John Lee Hooker.
John Lee Hooker somehow sounds vaguely familiar.
Okay.
And I don't know if I've actually ever listened to something by Ray Charles, but I know him as an iconic musician name.
Yes.
Have I listened to Aretha Franklin?
Also-
I think I think I have, like, casually
Okay.
somewhere along the way listened to some. Oh, she's a blues singer.
Surprisingly, you did.
I did. Okay. So many musicians to remember. So many names to remember.
These are great. These were great names. They are and will remain great names. And hopefully, on the Virgin Rock channel, you will be able to meet them on their ground. But during this movie, you will be able to watch them. Of course, hear them singing. And it's going to be great.
That's an interesting idea of having a musical that features kind of stars of the era. I guess it's not terribly strange of an idea, but okay, this is going to be fun.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, on YouTube, we cannot play the movie. Of course, we would get the video blocked. So if you want to watch the entire movie, you're welcome to go on Patreon and Coffee. But for all the others, the rest of us, let's go. So how was that for a musical action comedy 80s movie?
Oh wow, I don't exactly know what to say. I mean, okay, it's kind of interesting actually. It has some interesting ideas. Somehow the comedic elements felt a little bit forced at times. It was a long movie, and the action elements, I guess I took some notes here actually because there were ideas that came to me along the way and I wanted to remember them. So I'll be referring to my notes as I talk here. And I do have a note about the action scenes, like the police chases. I'll get to that. But I guess the first thing I feel like saying is it has this sort of dated cuteness to it.
Well, I guess that's...
It really felt like, okay, as a musical, I don't think I've ever heard so much rhythm and blues nonstop over the course of, what was it, 2.5 hours in my entire life. And
Wait, did you enjoy it?
yes, I did. I did enjoy it.
Good.
But the idea of a musical based on rhythm and blues, that's a new one to me. And it was completely unexpected, really. I don't know why, because it's called the Blues Brothers, but I didn't even stop to think about that.
That's
going
interesting.
into it. I appreciated the fact that it kind of immersed me in that musical world and the idea that this is not only a musical style that I have not lived in, but it's also an era and a culture in which, you know, I have not lived. And so
Yes.
it of course it's a comedy. Of course it's but it still had that feeling of I kind of got a taste of the time, the place, Chicago, the era, the
80s, the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
felt like it kind of immersed me in that
this is
place,
look, this is the first thing that hit
time.
me. It's the time. And every time when I watch a movie, especially 70s, 60s, 80s, it's like, boy, what a world. I'm looking at the buildings. I'm looking at the clothes. I'm looking at the cars. And of course, back then, I mean, 80s, I was under a communist regime. And I remember the few new movies that I got to watch. And America, like Chicago, like the brick buildings, the cars and everything. And it was like, wow, it was like another planet. And now watching that kind of movie is like traveling, really is like traveling back in time.
You know, there are movies that I watch and I feel like, okay, it brings out some nice points. There are others that feel like an immersion. And this one felt like an immersion. So that's overall the thing that stood out to me.
Right.
And I didn't just enjoy it, I appreciated it. I felt like it was something that I hadn't had that experience before for that era. So yeah, nice.
That's nice.
Oh, what else did I say? Oh yeah, it was fun. The musical stars, Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin. It was fun to see them on screen. And
Yeah, well, while we were watching, I told Amy, look, this is
who is who?
This is Ray Charles. Look, that's who he is.
yeah. So that was kind of fun to see them making their appearance and actually participating in the storyline of the movie.
Right.
More than just a cameo appearance, which was nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, what else do
here?
you have here?
Okay.
Okay.
Some little comments on a few of the
Church scene. Of course, the church scene,
Church
which is epic. Look,
It's crazy. It's wild.
it's historic. It's when I first watched it, I realized, man, this is like a short depiction and a sort of a resume of a part of American history. That's how I felt it.
But you know, it's funny. It's a comedy, right? So everything is overdone
Yes,
and
of course.
over exaggerated and kind of stereotyped in some ways. And the church scene, no exception. But to me, it felt like they did a great job of capturing some of the distinctions and ideas that existed. And because I'm familiar with the white side of American religious thought and culture and tradition, I kind of caught a few very pointed, shall I say, references, maybe even jabs at some. So it felt like it was really digging into how, let's say, the white American church-going population perceived, and sometimes still perceives, but historically has perceived, the Black American church traditions. The music, the movement, the way that the Black church traditions in this country bring in elements of, well, the musical style, which encourages more physical movement, and the white population looks askance at that and says, that's unholy, that's sensual, that does not belong in a place of worship, that does not belong in in a church. And so as this whole scene was unfolding, at first I was just like kind of amused. Okay, they've really gone over the top with this. But then I realized, they're making a point here. They're really digging into this and pointing it out. And I guess the moment that really I enjoyed a lot was when the Blues Brothers, don't remember, was it both of them or just one of them, got involved in the whole activity. I think it was both of them.
It was both of them. It was one of them who got the light and the,
And so they're inspired to join the worship activities, the dancing, and they didn't dance with quite the same. Okay, they were dancing, but not with the same sort of physical freedom.
Yeah, it was different.
It was a different style, and it really put the two of them side by side and made you focus and recognize that distinction, which it's so funny to see a white person stuck in there who he has absolutely no concept of reverence or irreverence at all, right? He's just there. And he thinks it's awesome. Oh, wow. This is a church service I can get involved in. I've seen the light, and all of this. and he still can't, he still doesn't have the freedom of movement as the black actors in that scene. So I felt like I was really emphasizing those distinctions, but more than that, it was really pointing out how the different populations in this country historically have viewed each other's worship practices.
But think about it. Just I don't know enough to know, but just the idea that the way they thought the scene and they worked it out. You have this white guy who receives the mission from God.
The mission from God. Oh, yes.
In a black church worship service. I don't know if at that time was a revolutionary idea to bring the two together and say, hey, a white man receives a mission from God in a black community.
Well, that's an interesting point because the other thing that I thought about as I was watching this was the fact that blues and rhythm and blues comes from the black community originally, and yet it became popular in the white communities and culture. And this is a rhythm and blues band that they're putting together, mostly white, certainly managed by white. But so it's after it's the 80s, so it's after the music has become acceptable to a larger audience. But still, they're going back to the source for their anointing, for their conversion, for their receiving the mission from God.
And the whole movie is based on this idea of both communities working together as one, because on one hand you have the two white blues brothers receiving this mission from God in a black community church worship service, and then the whole band, I mean, they're black musicians joining.
Yes, of course.
And the mission, the purpose was what? Was to save a monastery? Something? It
was a school associated with a Catholic institution.
Yeah,
they made a point of pointing out that several times they mentioned he's Catholic. So we have the black Pentecostals and we have the white Catholics.
Yeah, and then everybody works together. That's great. I mean, that's the main idea in the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, what else do you have here?
Another scene that caught my ear musically, actually. This was interesting. There's a hotel scene, and during those scenes around that hotel, the music is incredibly bass heavy, and it goes on and on and on, and it's this this really insistent, persistent music that's happening. But I was interested to notice that there was something about it that started sounding familiar. And I suddenly realized, oh, that's almost exactly like the brassy triplet that shows up partway through Ravel's Bolero. And it was interesting to me, again, to recognize, because, of course, Ravel's Bolero drew on the American jazz and blues traditions. You know, he was influenced by that in creating his Bolero. So it was another kind of a recognition of, oh yeah, this, well, kind of like the Blues Brothers had to go back to the origins for their anointing, the origins of the music. So also I felt like I was being taken in a way back to the origins of the inspiration, some of Ravel's influences in Bolero. But it was so interesting to hear that triplet, da 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 da, you know, and I could hear in my inner ear, I could hear the Bolero playing as I was listening to that. That was kind of fun. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else?
Well, okay, on the comedic side, as I said at the beginning, it felt a little bit forced at times, a little bit laborious. But after a while, after I got to accept that was the style, I got to enjoy it and kind of be amused by it in its own right. And one of the things that struck me as funny and amusing and sweet along the way was the incredible seriousness and kind of heavy seriousness with which the Blues Brothers go about their business. We're on a mission from God, you know? And every time they say we're on a mission from God, I was thinking, what does this because the way they say it, it's so uninspired sounding in a way. But then it hit me. I have a 2-year-old and I see her going about her play with utter seriousness, and sometimes what she's doing is so intense and serious, you know, and she's just marching around with her serious little business, and it kind of came across to me of, you know, the Blues Brothers with the seriousness of a 2-year-old. We're on a mission from God.
With the hats and the sunglasses.
Those sunglasses never moved off their faces, did they ever?
No.
I guess
once.
Yeah, I guess there was one, and one of them took off a hat once. Of course, I didn't really notice until partway through that was a real kind of signature of.
Yeah, but I mean, even in the sauna.
Yeah.
In the sauna scene.
Yeah, the sauna. And it doesn't matter if they've got a building tumbling down on top of them. They still manage to come out with the sunglasses unscathed.
Even when they dance and they do flips and the hat is there.
Must be glued to their head, yeah. Yeah. And a fun little, just one example of how I felt like it was such an immersion in a time and place and really captured that was the scene in the diner where Aretha Franklin, whatever character she was playing.
Yes.
You know, she's serving up the Blues Brothers or taking their order, and in the back on the wall, there's this sign for Polish sausage. Chicago, 80s, Polish sausage. It's so exactly as I think of it historically, you know, and
Okay, I never thought about it, but I remember once reading that the number of Poles living in Chicago is bigger than the number of Poles living in Warsaw.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's a huge, I mean, I won't go into the whole immigration history and everything, but there is a deep, long history there. And the Polish definitely have left a stamp. And it's still a big part even today. But yeah, just seeing that sign, Polish sausage, the back of this diner, which has nothing to do with it's not owned by Poles by a
Right.
long shot, right? So,
But it's part of the
yeah,
of everyday life already.
yeah.
Okay.
I guess 1 hour and 10 minutes is where Vlad pointed out that
Yes.
I was watching Ray Charles, and that was an important moment. And okay, there was another. So when the Blues Brothers are doing their final concert, when they finally get that done, and they're giving the Blues Brothers finally make it on stage.
Yes.
And it's their intro number. It was kind of weird listening to that because it started out with his announcement style, and I couldn't help but remember the Sgt. Pepper's opening song. Sgt.
Okay.
Pepper's, as the sort of calling out the announcing of the act and everything. But then, as it went on, it morphed into something that was kind of reminiscent of Queen's "Somebody to Love," just hints of it, and I don't know if that was intentional or if it just happens to be the incredible common ground and similarities and an example of how much interchange and exchange has happened between the musical styles. Because of course they're all woven together and crisscrossing everywhere. But it was funny to be listening to that, and those pieces come to mind. First Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's, and then Queen's "Somebody to Love." That was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was really.
Then there was right after the police chase. Okay, let's talk about these action scenes for a bit because.
Okay.
I'm watching them and thinking, am I supposed to feel a big adrenaline rush here? Am I supposed to feel... They're kind of going on and on and on, and it's supposed to be all grand and dramatic and impressive. Maybe it's because I am from such a different era that doesn't really impact me maybe the way it would have impacted
look,
back then.
I remember going to the movie theater as a child in the rare occasions when they would have an American movie, and these scenes, oh wow, man,
Okay.
we would go out of the movie theater and we were dreaming about driving these cars and smashing the cars and having the revolvers and stuff. Oh boy, it was.
Okay,
That's how it was.
It doesn't affect me at all
Well,
in that
of
way.
course.
Maybe it's personality, maybe it's maturity, maybe it's the era.
I'm sure
Who
it's-
knows,
it's
right? But I
both,
was watching
all
them,
three
and
of
I'm like,
them.
okay, are they done crashing cars yet? How long is this going?
Well, here's
man,
the-
they're bringing more cars. Okay.
here's the thing.
But then
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
realized this is the 80s, and this is what impressed me about it. This is the 80s. This is before they have all their special effects and stuff they
Yes.
can do now. Every single one of those cars in that race was a real car, and they actually had to do that with those cars in order to.
Well, let
in
me
order
tell
to
you
record
something.
it.
This is one of the main reasons why their budget was far exceeded, because they crushed so many cars.
There were so many cars. I mean, it was so many cars. It was like, okay, would it have mattered if there was one or two or even 5 or 10 less? I don't know.
Well, I guess their budget was a little over $11 million. Something I don't remember
Wow.
exactly, but just like shortly after they started the project, the budget was gone already. And this is one of the reasons. There were other reasons, but this is one of the main reasons. Because they literally crushed so many cars.
I would love to know exactly how many cars were used in this movie. I bet somebody could tell me.
Oh yeah. We can dig that information out. Yeah, I'm sure about that.
Yeah, so, but, okay, so they've had all these police chases and everything, and they're driving the car, and they've made it all the way to the place where they're going to make the payment for the tax. And they get out of the car, and as they're walking away, the thing just falls apart.
Yes.
Again, it's this idea of we're on a mission for God. We can drive this thing until it no longer serves our mission, and then it can die. But only then.
and nobody can stop us.
No, but
Not even the army, the US Army.
yes. Okay. That was so ridiculous.
I mean, look, it was not ridiculous. It was funny. It was the whole idea, put it together in a so funny way.
And it's funny and it's hilarious and it's laughable and it's so over the top.
Look,
another thing that I don't know if I wrote this down. I don't see it in my notes, but again, going back to the use of stereotypes in this movie, the Nazi group, and their was it Tannhauser that I heard at one point? And just the way they take those particular associations and create a stereotype which is so extreme, and at the same time, okay, it's like, yeah, you can't argue with that. Okay, fine. And so also, the army comes in, the helicopters, the different...
A tank,
right? In Chicago, in downtown Chicago. Okay. Yeah. And then this was the moment that was the funniest, the best, the most perfect moment. They do all this stuff all through the movie. It's been going on for hours, and now they get to the office where they're finally supposed to pay the tax. They've got the money. They've got the army and the Nazis and the police.
No, the Nazis were gone by then.
Oh, they were gone by then. Okay.
Yeah,
and
remember
the police,
they jumped on the...
Oh, that's right. They were gone. They went...
No, it was all authorities, all law enforcement, including the army.
Everybody's after them, right? And all these law authorities are destroying the building unnecessarily, but we'll leave that to the side. And the Blues Brothers get to the office, and there's this wonderful little piece of paper taped to the window. And it says, back in 5 minutes. The Universal, back in 5 minutes.
Look, it
Brad
is.
and I both, that was the moment at which we both just burst out laughing and split our sides.
Look, in so many offices, in Romania, so many offices, like you have, or entry doors, you have the sign open and on the other side is closed. Mm-hmm. But there's one other sign that they keep on the desk.
Oh, yeah?
Back in 5 minutes. It's always there, back in 5 minutes, which is...
It could be 5 minutes, it could be 5 hours.
That's irrelevant.
It's kind of the gone fishing sign,
Gone fishing, yeah.
And so...
No, that was brilliant. It was just
perfect. It was the best moment of the entire movie, and I loved it. I relished it, and it was the perfect way to wrap it up. And then, of course, the final scenes, closing scenes, which we just finished watching. Of after they've done this, then they get to go to jail, and then they get to have their band in jail.
Play music, of course.
Music, right? It doesn't matter. But yeah. That was the best moment.
Great. Look, it's a great movie. Okay, we watched it together. Those of you who didn't, we encourage you to watch it when you want to watch a movie, but you don't want to be serious. You don't want to have a classic comedy. You just want to have something so wonderfully foolish and fooling around, and just sit back, relax, remember some past times, which will probably never come back, and just unplug yourself from today's reality and just...
It was certainly an unplug yourself from reality movie of just, okay. I almost feel like saying when you want to waste 2.5 hours, but I can't call it a waste.
No.
But when I say waste, I mean you just need to do something that's unimportant.
But look, how do you feel now? Like after 2.5 hours of watching it, right now, how do you feel? I feel like, whew, that was a nice break.
That
was really a nice break.
Us,
I mean, if Lisa would have been older, I would have had her here, you know, just laughing and pointing things, and it's a kids friendly movie.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I noticed is that, well, also a sort of vestige of the 80s, back when things were a bit more conservative. It was certainly a very family friendly movie.
Yes.
In terms of whether it's language or activities on screen, even the action scenes are really, really non-violent.
It's comedy, everything. Even the cars piling together. It's just, I mean, you're laughing, right?
Yeah.
But it can be. I'm just thinking, you know, with Liesel, it would be a great sort of history lesson. You can turn it into talk about music, talk about those times, talk about so many things, you know, so many details.
You know, she'd be talking about the cars. You and she would be talking about the cars. She loves cars. She's crazy about cars.
And airplanes.
And airplanes.
Yeah.
Well, there were a few helicopters in there at the end. Yeah, she would love the movie. So that was the Blues Brothers.
My
first time seeing it.
Was great.
And,
that was great. Let us know what you think about this movie.
Yeah.
We are very curious about it, and I guess we will be back in 5 minutes.